もうちょっと素晴らしいセッションでもう余韻に浸りたいぐらいなんですけど、時間も押してるので次のセッションに行きます。次はですね、世界の復興先進事例からの学びということでございます。ではまずスライドを出します。まずは、今日アチェとルワンダとニューオーリンズを取り上げるんですけども、ちょっと前提知識を揃えるためにスライドを共有したいと思います。まずルワンダ、これは皆さんご存知だと思いますけども、94年大虐殺がありました。仏族と土族の対立ですね。100日間の間に100万人というものすごい虐殺が行われた国ですけど、今どうなっているかご存知ですか？ ICT 立国2020っていうのを掲げてですね、アフリカの奇跡と言われて、私これ結構衝撃。去年でいうと世銀の Doing Business っていうランキングで日本より10位も上なんですよね。で今年日本がちょっと逆転しますけど、ほぼ変わらないと。IT インフラ含めビジネス環境がもう日本と同じで、成長率でもアフリカ2位というところまでルワンダが来ているということでございます。それからアチェ。ここはですね、ずっと独立運動をやっていて、インドネシアで、76年間内戦が起きてました。で、2004年にご存知のスマトラ沖の大津波ですね、が襲って、でその時まだ内戦やってたんですけど、その翌年、内戦に合意をして復興にみんなで一丸となって、取り組んでいったということで、早い成長を見せているという地域です。それから、東北の人はみんな学んだ方多いと思いますけど、ニューオーリンズ、ハリケーンカトリーナ2005年ですね、これも全米史上最悪の自然災害でしたけれども、ここで、地域の人々が集まってですね、事実をもとにミーティングを開いてしっかりしたビジョンを作って、今や全米有数の企業の街というところで、若者の特にアントレプレナーが集まる街として有名な町になっているという状況でございます。で、今日はこの3地域からですね、それぞれ実際、当事者だった方をお招きして議論したビデオを放映いたします。一人がですね、とわりマリールイズさん、この方の人生は本当にすごくてですね、まず、ルワンダで、虐殺に直面しています。で、難民キャンプに逃れて、でその前に実は福島にいたんですね。で、日本語ができるっていうんで、日本医師の通訳となって、そこから日本に逃れてきたと。で、福島に住んでたら、今度、大震災を福島で経験するというですね、ものすごくいい人生を送ってきている方でございます。それからもう一人、今回実は3人すべて女性なんですけれども、ハフニダールさん、アチェの津波博物館館長ですが、彼女も自身が、津波を経験して、近い方も亡くされているというような方で、ございます。で、一旦、避難して、その後あっちに戻ったということで、その後、津波博物館館長でその教訓を伝えている方です。それから今日は参加できないんですけれども、アリソン・プライヤーさんはニューオーリンズのデータセンター、ご本人もニューオーリンズで被災をしてますけれども、そこでデータを使って復興のビジョンを作る立役者となった方です。で、今日はですね、アチェのハフニさんとルワンダにいるトワリさん、実はトワリさん日本語ペラペラなんですけれども、つながっております。まずはハフニさん。つながりますか？ Hello, ハフニさん。Could you unmute? Hi. Could you introduce yourself briefly to the audience? We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Thank you for joining us. Can you say a few words? Introduce yourself. We cannot somehow hear. But we will show the video first, and we will come back to you with questions. So please stay hold and please stay tuned. We'll get back to you. And then とわりさん。今日は日本語で大丈夫です。こんにちは。
こんにちは。
一旦皆さんにご挨拶お願いします。
皆さん、ルワンダはおはようございますです。
そうですね。
とても光栄です。今日このような会議に参加させていただくことができて、とても幸せです。よろしくお願いします。
日本語で話すの初めてですね。じゃあまずはビデオを流すので、その後会場から QA 質問を受け付けます。じゃあビデオの方投影ができますでしょうか。Pandemic, and although we face probably this is very rare case that the humankind, people around the globe now face the common agenda, common issue. But what's happening is that the people, societies are divided in many corners of the world. It's very sad. And so I think what you have been through, how you overcome the division, we should be able to draw very precious lessons from your experiences. So, Towari-san.
Rwanda is a very special country, I can say that, because everyone around the globe was waiting for something, for a endless travel country. That is what everyone was thinking, because of the people in the village who went and killed their neighbors, some killed their relatives, even children or parents or something like that. But because of the leadership of our leaders, this is one point, the leadership. Because when the leaders stopped the genocide, they didn't allow people to revenge. This is very important. And the things which were separating the people, like we used to have an ID. In the ID, you could find in it the ethnic mention. They mentioned in the ID card the ethnicity of each one, but the leaders decided to stop this mention in the ID cards. The government thought that the power, the initiative from women also would be something to reconstruct the country. So a new constitution was set up where the constitution says that women must be represented at more than 30% in the decision-taking places.
Wow.
This is the key to this reconstruction of Rwanda. So in my understanding, as a mother who will take care of the child, will take care of the husband, will take care of the community. So this was something the government has discovered. As you know, in Rwanda, we had prisons which were full of people who committed the genocide. But outside, the widows were living together with those wives of the husbands in prison. So to show children, to give children hope, these women in the villages got together and started thinking how they could build a peaceful community. Because of the leadership, because of the women also participating in the development of our countries, and by that providing like forgiveness and reconciliation, that people should come together and build one community which is strong. That is what brought Rwanda to developing. And even now, there is people have to work for the country once a month together. They work together, including all communities, and this we call it umuganda for the reconstruction. Every last Saturday of the month, community get together. They build some schools, they build roads, and after that they get together and try to listen what is the problem in the community so that they can bring a solution to that, to the matters. So this is working together, reconciliation and forgiveness saved this country. In the parliament, they are number one, the large number, they are more than 60% of the parliament members.
The national parliament, 60% are women. Wow.
More than 60%. And the Kakuryo,
the ministers.
The ministers, the half is women, 50%. 50%.
Wow.
They are doing a great job.
Very interesting. The leadership of the national leaders, as well as the key roles played by the women and widows. Role of women. I heard in Aceh as well, women played a key role. But Hafuni-san.
Aceh facing a very long civil war and then conflict between Aceh people and government. And when I was a teenager, I saw a lot dead body in the street. I don't know whose people do that and where the men come from. It's like nightmare, because it's almost every day you will see a dead body. After conflict or after disaster, there's a new life. Even we stay alone, but that's a new life. It doesn't matter all your family, you lose all your family, but you should accept everything. It's a new life. That's hope. It doesn't live in one person, but all of us believe that a hope. In evacuation area, we stay together and without no food, less medicines, but the people in the others community come to the evacuation area to help the others. The women cannot hang out at night. Teens or women, it's like taboo or forbidden for us to go to enjoy coffee or anything outside at night. But after tsunami, it's very, very amazing for me, because until now, there's a lot women can go to the coffee shop, can go to the market at night. I just see the positive thing that the society let us as women to get the same information like men, because in coffee shop or the restaurant, there's a free Wi-Fi.
In both Rwanda and Aceh, women played very important role in healing the society and reconstruct, which is very understandable. And probably Japan as a whole should learn lessons from that. Alison-san then. So you mentioned the role of the data, facts, and how it can help people work together. I've heard and read an article about, right after the disaster, people can work together for the same goal to emergency response. But after a couple of years, people got anxious where to go. And so how you succeeded in creating a common vision or common goal, probably using the facts or data you mentioned. Could you explain that?
Sure. Yes. So yes, we pulled together neighborhood leaders, business leaders, elected officials in groups of maybe 30 people, and made sure they were very diverse, different perspectives. And then we showed them data on how we were doing in terms of prosperity, what the trends were, how were our poverty levels, how were our income levels, how many people were homeless, various indicators to show how we were doing, and then have them talk about it. They could ask us questions or or even talk amongst themselves. And one thing, because we were known for putting out data that was accurate and neutral, and again, we showed, here's some good news and here's some bad news. The leaders accepted what we put out as facts and didn't argue the facts, but instead started talking about what to do about them. So that was, really instrumental in their coming together around, the realities of where we are and thinking about where we want to go from here. And we found that very, very important after a disaster.
And if I remember correctly, you came up with some vision of attracting the most talented people, and New Orleans actually became a city most number of talented people get together in the whole United States.
Yeah, so one of the goals that was developed by this group really was that we would attract entrepreneurs, young people who would be wanting to start businesses. And we did see entrepreneurship really start to spike. And in fact, we were attracting more entrepreneurs than, had a higher growth rate of entrepreneurship than really the national average or other parts of the country. Yeah. So there was a lot that, happened to people got engaged on so many issues, right? They sort of picked the issue that was most important, whether it was, helping restore our coast as our first line of defense against storm surge, whether it was improving our school system, whether it was improving, our ability to, like you all, interact with our farmers and have farmers markets and be more sustainable in that way, whether it was looking at just diversifying our economy so we weren't so dependent on tourism, and had, more tech jobs in town. So people focused on, variety. So people got very, very engaged in housing and making sure we had enough affordable housing. We had, of course, multiple problems, but I think, civic engagement was really critical. And of course, civic engagement, means oversight, right? So we, like you in Tohoku, got a lot of capital, federal dollars from our federal government. But when that money comes, it's always important for citizens to be really engaged and articulate about how they want that money spent, where they want it spent, overseeing that it is being spent where they want it. That kind of transparency is really important too. So we also published data on the funding and where it was going as well. So I think the data and the civic engagement and the way we brought people together was really critical for creating a vision going forward.
I took notes, and I've learned, power of leadership, power of education, power of especially women, power of data, power of civic engagement, and power of clear vision, where the society should go. So I think these lessons, learnings, we should leverage that to overcome the current crisis we are facing, which is pandemic, and probably more so that the social division.
Well, I think one thing we learned about disasters is that that you have to create a vision, right? That you will not go back to the way it was before. And even though many people wish things could go back, it's not possible. And so you have to think toward what the future could be and how to get there. And I think one thing we've really learned about disasters is that they accelerate pre-existing trends. And so we as a country, certainly in the United States, I think what we're learning, and this is probably true everywhere, is that whatever policies we develop, they need to be geared toward helping the most vulnerable. Because if we don't help the most vulnerable, obviously those people will continue to be vulnerable, and that creates a lot of those divisions. So the great thing about helping the most vulnerable is that everybody gets the help they need, right? So it's so everybody wins when the most vulnerable are helped. I love the stories from Rwanda and Indonesia. It's wonderful. So I think that that's really a key for our recovering from COVID.
Many of us, not only me, Alison and Tawari, there's many outside survival of disasters. We should stay constant to educate people, give a better of us, the better thing of us to children. And for pandemic, don't give up. Don't easy to give up, because a lot of people outside need our experience. Not only museum, the place that I work, but we can work together with institutions or schools, because the values of our experience will help many people. Just don't give up.
Thank you. Well, don't give up. Very simple words, but coming from you, it's very powerful and it's very heavy.
So in Rwanda, as I told you, as everyone has said, when we are in hard situation, we do our best to overcome. And like everyone has said, we help each other to overcome the situation. So what I can say also for this COVID, we don't have to go back. When we started the school, it was to see children coming out from the streets. And after 26 years, we have seen children who are doing great job. And this COVID shows us that the situation is becoming like 26 years ago, where children couldn't go to school and parents have to look for something to feed them. So the children are left at home. I'm afraid they can go again to the street. So we have to really work hard so that children don't go anymore in the streets. And for Rwanda, it is a kind of the country which is developing, where children are, have a problem of malnutrition. And we were trying to really work hard to stop malnutrition, which is killing children. So with this ICT, we have ICT chamber. Did you know about that? ICT chamber, which is improving the ICT, which must go to the very rural area. So with ICT, even when people cannot meet, see what we have done for us, you can know what is happening around the globe through this Zoom conference, telling people to stay home. They use drones to call people to stay at home, not going because they can catch COVID from anywhere. So using this development and remembering where we came from, and we have to decide together, like everyone has said, that the community should get together. The very needy people have attention, the community, or the community, as Alison has said. So we don't give up, we keep going. When life is there, everything is there. We can dream bigger.
Thank you very much. I was, to be honest, after this coronavirus thing and all the news in the U.S. and other parts of the world, I've been very pessimistic about where we are going. But today's session has given me hope, and I'm now more optimistic than 2 hours ago. So I'm really appreciative of your joining this session. And I really, as a person, I'd like to thank you for your words. はい。ということで見ていただきました。で、本当に素晴らしいお話をいただきましたが、質問いろいろいただいております。京割さんとハフニさんに聞いていきたいと思います。First of all, ハフニさん。Can you, okay. So we had the question that, so you mentioned that after the ceasefire, more and more women started to go out and you can enjoy, cafe and drinks at night. So, but how was the response from men in the society?
I think the first is not good for them because
Could you speak up a little bit? Sorry.
the first is not good for men right? Can you hear me?
Really?
Can you hear me?
I hope I will do my best.
The first is the men is not good response because a lot of seats in coffee shop sit by women. No.
Sorry, let me come back to you first. Then I will come back to you, Hafuni-san. Let's go to Towari-san first. Then Towari-san、日本語でいきましょう。
はい。
ウムガンダに質問来ています。実際どれぐらいの規模でどれぐらいの人数で集まってその後こう飲み会をするのか、もう少しこのウムガンダについて教えてください。
ですね、ウムガンダっていうのは月一度各地でこのルワンダの小さいコミュニティの中に小分けしてあります。そうするとそれぞれの地域に住んでる人たちが、連絡を取り合ってここでそのウムガンダをしますっていうふうになるんですね。だから呼びかけられるじゃなくてもみんなの認識の中で最後の土曜日にはウムガンダがあるので、そう各地域の人たちがその土曜日に何をするかを決めるんですね。で、例えばお掃除をすることももちろんですけど、あるいは道がないところを小道しかないところに広い道を作ったりとか、あるいは学校がないところにじゃあ学校のレンガを作ったりとかしましょうとか、そういったようなことを準備されます。そしてそのウムガンダが終わった後にですね、次回のウムガンダのことももちろんのことを、あるいはここで抱えている問題がこういう問題があります。例えば、よくあることはお年寄りが一人で暮らしていて家が古くなってきた、あるいは貧しくしている家庭がある。その家庭のことを様子を知って、何とかしましょうということでその問題解決につながっていっています。あとは国の中で起きていることのお知らせの場でもあります。みんなが各家族に一人代表が来るようにはなっているので、その代表が家族に持ち帰るようにしています。はい。
ありがとうございます。もう、2つ。まず、その女性がこう活躍するようになって内戦後、男性がどう感じていたのかということと、あとは日本も戸張さんご存知ですから、やっぱり女性の進出って日本は世界的にやっぱり低いって言われていて、先ほど 50% 閣僚とか 60% 議会でってありました。日本は全然低い。日本がルワンダになるには何が必要だと思いますか？この2つ。男性のリアクションと日本の女性活躍についてのご意見。
そうですね。まず男性のリアクションは その女性の働きに対して評価があったことが大事です。女性もできるんだっていうことを評価することができて、その女性たちが働きやすい環境を男性も女性も一緒に考えていったことが大きいことなんじゃないかなと思います。
反発はなかったんですか？反発はなかったんですか？男性から。
反発は今のところは聞いていないんですね。聞いていないんです。逆に彼女たちが素晴らしい仕事ができるから、その評価をして、特に大統領がその女性の働きによって何年か前はっきりと年度覚えてないんですけど、その女性の働きの評価で表彰されたんですけど、その表彰式に大統領がもちろん参加してこられたので、そういう素晴らしい女性の働きに大統領自身が認めているので、周りの皆さんも認めていただいてるんじゃないかなとは思います。
じゃあ簡単に日本へのメッセージ。
日本へのメッセージなんですけど、日本の女性素晴らしく仕事できるんです。これは日本の男性も知ってるんじゃないかなとは思うんですね。でだからこういうふうにして日本の国は発展したんじゃないかな。女性がしっかりしていることであることで、その女性たちに参加できるようには文章では掲げているんですけど、そのちゃんと各ところにその女性のレプレゼンテーションがあることが確認されていないっていうことが大きいですね。あと、女性の立場から見ると、例えば女性がリーダーになった時に男性みたいにしなければいけないというプレッシャーですね。そういうのはもう捨てた方がいいですよ。女性のありのままで、女性が持っている魅力、男性が気づかないもの、それを生かした方が絶対的にいいと思うので、変に男性ぶったりしなくてもいいですよ。女性のありのまんまのことでいいんじゃないかなと思ったり、怒られるかもしれないけど、そういう感じています。
ありがとうございます。Sorry, Hafuni-san then. Let me try once again. So, in Rwanda, Tori-san was saying there is no backlash from men, no negative reaction from male people. How was in Aceh? And also, lastly, could you send a message to Japan? Hopefully, we can hear you now.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
It's about men response. Yeah, the first time is it's not good. I think it's men area, and then suddenly women have a free time to go outside at night. But there are two things. The first is men think it's not good for women to go out. But the other one thing, they have a wide area to interaction, to talk about, to discuss about political things, economic and social life. They have a friend, they have a friend to discuss it. And it's a good space for us, women and men. The space developed with technology, even it's a coffee shop, and we are, both of us, men and women, can sit together and work together. Even like this, the example is they can talk in the office, but they change the space to talk and discuss at the coffee shop. But it's really, really meeting, even in coffee shop, men and women.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. ちょっとかなり聞き取りにくかったですが、多分男性はあまりいいレスポンスじゃなかったとおっしゃってたような気がしますが、今は男女一緒になって、コロナに取り組んでいくことが重要だということをおっしゃってくださいました。本当に、最後、私感じたのは、皆さん気づいたと思うんですけど、みんな明るいんですよね。本当にこうちょっと言葉にするの壮絶な虐殺や内戦を乗り越えてきたのに非常に明るくてですね、なんかそこは東北ともやっぱり通じるところがあるなというのを感じていました。本当に学びの多いセッションでした。谷さん、Thank you very much. I really appreciate your joining and I really hope to meet you in Thank you very much. 皆さん、ということで第2セッション終わりにいたします。ありがとうございました。Thank you.